Hello everybody, and dare I say it, Happy New Year. This is probably going to go up New Year's Eve, either my time or your time. I don't know. But anyway, Happy New Year's. Yes, this is just a video to answer a few questions people have sent to me as I have reached the holy milestone of 1,000 subscribers, which is great. Thanks. So let's dive into the questions. Which one first? In no particular order. Carl Raven 91. Hey man, how did you get into Doom and what made you decide to start Doom mapping? Okay, so Doom came out in 93, I was about 3. That's how old I am. But it was probably a few years after that my dad brought home this bundle of floppy disks. I think there was 4 of them. Does that sound right? The installation? I think it was 4, maybe it was 3. And they went into the computer and it went brrr, and then a short while later there was Doom. So this is probably about 95, 96 maybe. And yeah, one thing definitely stuck with me, and that was Lost Souls. Like, I remember having nightmares. Like it would have been summertime, I think, and it doesn't get light till about 9 p.m. And so there I was looking out the window, the trees were silhouetted against the setting sun sky, and like some of the leaves were like flickering like the flames on top of a lost soul. And yeah, I dreamt about lost souls for quite a while afterwards. And from then, it was probably a few years after that, maybe about 97-ish, there was a Christmas at my cousin's, and he was adult, he'd already left home, but he was staying there in a caravan, and he had in his caravan a computer, and on it was Doom 2. And I had a look, I was like, it's Doom! Like, I knew what it was, and then he was like, nah, mate. Check this out. And it was the super shotgun. It would have been Underhalls. And I was amazed how many bad guys you could blow away with the super shotgun. So it's still a big favorite of mine. And then also must have seen Refueling Base, because I saw a Pain Elemental and it was shooting out Lost Souls. And I was like, I'm gonna go! I ran away. So it left a big impression. But then that sort of like, that bubbled down for a number of years, and it wasn't until about 2005, I think. Like I was in like year 10 in high school, about 15 years old. And for whatever reason, I Googled like how to make Doom maps, and I came upon Doom Builder, pretty early version, I guess, or maybe not at that point, I don't know, but it was just called Doom Builder anyway. And I made a crappy box. That was good. No, it wasn't. It was terrible. And then I got the idea of actually opening up some of the IWAs, and I opened up Hangar from TNT, and I grabbed it all and I copied it, and then I pasted it onto the first map from TNT, and it was amazing that you could do that. It was a really dodgy job though, like some of the lines were intersecting with the pasting and like things were tearing, and it was a complete fiasco, but it kind of set me off from there. Then I was like, well actually, it got me looking at like the line defs and the actions and stuff like that, and a few years passed of other things, and then I went back to it, and by this point I was making stuff in Doom in Hexen format, which meant like Doom, but you could use ACS, like write the scripts and stuff. And of course there's an awesome reference for that in like the ZZoom wiki, all of that stuff, and many websites and things like that. And it was just very interesting, and I made some Hexen maps that probably interested me more than Doom for whatever reason. I tried to port some stuff from Doom into Hexen, and like the palettes didn't match up properly and stuff, and so it was all bright pink and green, and I didn't know what I was doing, but it set me off. It set me off imaginatively, because I've always wanted to make games, because they've always fascinated me, all sorts of games, and that's kind of where it all began. Jim Owen James asks, outside of Doom, what's your favorite hobby or creative outlet? Bonus question, what other gaming genres do you enjoy, not just limited to video games? So, outside of Doom, favorite hobby or creative outlet, I would say 2 of them for sure. Music, making music, listening as well, but making music, performing, and cooking. love to cook, love to eat, love to cook. So this kind of like jumps into another question, which I think Vytaan asked, but I'll get to that one as well. So I play a variety of instruments, and I love to play at the moment. Just about every Sunday I go to my brother's place. It's not too far away. He's a wizard on the guitar, and I've really gotten into bass, playing the bass, especially slap bass. So my thumb always hurts, which can make it hard sometimes to like play Doom, like with my mouse hand, because my thumb's throbbing. I had to get rid of a blister the other day. That's just what happens, isn't it? But yeah, music and cooking. Love to cook all sorts of cuisines, all sorts of dishes. I really like making, it's called, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, I'm sorry. I think it's pho. Oh, so it's spelled pho, P-H-O. I think it's pho. It's like a Vietnamese soup, and you make it from scratch with, like, if it's a chicken based, you get the old chicken carcass in there and you cook it up, and like all this flavor and goodness comes out of the bones and the cartilage and all this sort of stuff, and you add in like star anise and ginger and garlic, and it's friggin' amazing. And I love spicy food. That's another thing. I really, really love spicy food, but it doesn't love me, unfortunately. So if I'm gonna put myself up on the spicy food cross, it's going to be a bit of a walk down from that one, I've got to admit, these days anyway. So yeah. Also, I really like cartooning. I've drawn cartoons since high school, in varying ways, like doing caricatures of people. Not like those really shit ones you get of like someone does a caricature and like you've got a massive fucking head and a tiny body and you're riding a skateboard or kicking a soccer ball. Not that. No, like really, really offensive caricatures that hopefully no one will ever find. And that actually morphed into, like, some characters came from that with friends of mine in high school, into Jono and Dane, which was a cartoon, an animation I did, and I produced 13 episodes of that for a local TV station, which was great, back in 2014. Oh, it's a long time ago, and I did everything all by myself, which is possibly the work ethic from that, because I had to work like 10, 12 hours a day, every day, without a break, for months, and I just loved it. It was so good. But that's the work ethic I think that I pour into making a WOD or something like that. It probably comes from bad experiences of group work at school, that I don't feel like I can rely on other creative people. And I've seen evidence of that with just talking to other people online, and that if you've got like a video project and people just don't meet you halfway or don't even get in the door to begin with, they make promises and they don't deliver. So I feel like I kind of have to do everything, which it makes me fairly independent, but also I put myself on an island creatively. I really need to try and branch out a bit and maybe just have a bit more patience, or really find people that I can rely on. So that's something I've got to deal with. Hopefully this year I will branch out more. Other gaming genres I enjoy. I used to play a fair bit of Dungeons and Dragons. AD&D though. AD&D version, was that 2.5? I think. It had Thaco in it still. If anyone knows Thaco, it's fucking great. And my brother and I actually, we made up our own version, which was for our own fantasy world. We took 2.5 and then built on top of that. It's just a bunch of kids doing this as well. It's pretty ridiculous. So yeah, our own monsters, our own, like, you know, religions, races, all the sort of it, species, and which was stuff that we had developed from a very young age. So it was just intuitive. We wouldn't be able to do it with anyone else, I don't think. It would just take too much explaining. But yeah, it was really good fun. I don't really have the time for that anymore, but I do like playing board games. Scrabble's a bit boring though, isn't it? Uno's fun. That's not really a board game, is it? It's a card game. I've tried to play Magic the Gathering before. Didn't know what was going on. I can find it hard to wrap my head around certain things like that sometimes, where it's just like, it's not going in. It's not going in, and it's not going to go in. There's a wall there. So I probably can't learn things like that anymore. I don't know. Brave Ulysses, Merry Christmas, says, will there ever be live streaming on your channel? I'd say probably not. I don't really have the time, unfortunately. I know folks make time. Like, I mean, if Decino could stick away 8 hours or whatever to play a thing, that's awesome. Yeah, as well as working, of course. I don't know how he does it, or did it. He's gonna obviously have to pull back on some of that stuff with a family on the way. But yeah, I don't allow myself too much time because there's other things in life as well. Otherwise, I just spend all my time at the computer and I just turn into this shriveled little husk. As it is, I've got a moustache that won't wash away. And that's probably just from being at the computer itself. Read into that what you will. But I wouldn't mind. I probably also had the thought, though, that if I did do it, it's a lot of work to build up to, of course, and probably no one would tune in. Which is probably a fair assumption to make. It's understandable. Also, the time difference is really hard. Like, pretty much everyone would be in the Northern Hemisphere, in the sort of Europe, predominantly US area. I mean, I've been on streams with people from Canada and all the rest of it, which was awesome, by the way. Great guys. And that was like 12 p.m. my time, and I guess like about 8 p.m. their time? I don't know what the difference was, but it's like also like you've just got other things going on the weekend, and that it's hard. Maybe one day. Cargo Jorts says, "What's your favorite food?" That's very difficult. That's a difficult question to answer. As I've already said, I really like cooking and all sorts of cuisines. I love my Vietnamese. It's very flavoursome, very fresh. Very clean, not heavy type of excellent Asian cuisine. I really like it very much. I love Indian food. I like all foods. It's hard, and it depends on my mood as well. Probably my most favorite thing to eat that I really like to cook myself is probably just a really good slow-cooked spaghetti and meatballs. Like, you know, you get your meatballs, lots of garlic, lots of herbs. Fennel is a great addition to meatballs, by the way. Lends itself really nicely, especially to a red sauce. And just cook them for ages, so they're like super tender. And then just with some perfectly cooked spaghetti, and then just with some Parmigiano Reggiano or Romano or something on top. Not the cheese out of a shaky thing. Don't do that. Yeah, so probably that. Favorite Doom monster? That's hard. That's really hard. Like all the additions to Doom 2, it still marvels me sometimes just how perfect they are for all sorts of situations. But probably if I have to find number one, a dude that's got the most going for him, it's got to be the Archvile. Like there's so many facets, so many layers to that monster, and can be used in so many different ways, which you've seen in so many WODs and stuff like that. So he's a high damage target. He's got actually a lot of health when you think about it, despite how skinny he is. He's very fast, quite thin, can actually be placed in some very slim environments. So he can start the fight. He will perpetuate and keep the fight going by resurrection, and then he can easily end the fight by blowing your face off. So there's just so many layers. Archvile it is, and he's creepy, and he's got those scary sounds with the ha 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 and the noise when he wakes up. It's great. Cockroach Urethra, ow, asks, Doom 3 or Quake 4? Well, it's got to be Doom 3. Sorry. I've only ever played Quake 1. I really liked all the elements of Quake 1. I really got into it in like 2005, not 2015, 2005 when I was in high school. And a friend of mine showed it, and then we jumped onto Hexen 2, which is based off the same engine. I'm pretty sure it's Quake 1. It's not Quake 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, Hexen 2 as well. Really cool for co-op. But to backtrack on that, I've only ever played Quake 1. I loved all the extra new stuff that was released, was that a few years ago? That was incredible. Who did that? Was it Machine Games? Somebody. Anyway, Bethesda went blah, and we got all this extra Quake stuff, which was incredible, mind-blowing. It just made me think of like some of the WODs that come out that are just insane masterpieces. It's incredible. But I've played so much Doom 3. That had a huge impact on me. I was 14 when it came out. I remember being in Big W, which is like our cross between Walmart and Target, I guess. And in the games section, video game, electronics section, they'd have the games and stuff. And I remember being there, and Doom 3 had come out, and there it was in like the cardboard box. And you could, I think it had like a little Velcro dot, open it up, and then I think it had a gatefold, and there was all these pictures of the monsters. I think there was definitely a cherub. There was definitely a Hell Knight. Was he like the cover design? Maybe. And I was just amazed. I remember being at high school and a friend of mine bought in, was it not PC World? I think it had the word power in it. It was one of those magazines anyway, and it had a piece on, I think it was just on like the lighting of Doom 3 and how much all this work that John Carmack and the team had done, and with these pictures, and I was like, whoa, that's like the best thing ever, man. That's so cool. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was yet to see things like Crisis and stuff like that, which the same person brought in a magazine when Crisis came out and laid it down. Kind of like someone lays down a winning hand in poker, like, what do you think of that? And we were like, whoa, wow, man, that's pretty good. And of course, none of us had a computer that could play these games. Like, I didn't get to play Doom 3 for probably a few years after that, because my computer was a potato. It struggled to play Warcraft 3 sometimes, which I played a lot of, by the way. But I saw it being played at a friend's place at their birthday. Their computer was just a little bit better than mine. And I was like, whoa. And this was on minimal settings as well. So like things were like really polygonal and all the rest of it. And there was probably a bit of tearing where the textures were and stuff like that. But it was mind blowing. That bit where you have to lead the dude around with the lantern and stuff in the dark, incredible. The Shep says, yo. Favorite mapper, favorite WOD. Well, I guess I've kind of spoiled it a number of times. I've said it many times. Skillsaw is my favorite number one dude. But I have said just recently, a trifecta, a great triangle of doominess is where my mind goes to, of Skillsaw, Brian Irving, and Tango. And it's no mistake that two of those guys are Australians. Well, I mean, I love the stuff because I love the stuff, but I'm so proud of the stuff that Australians make for the Doom community. It is incredible. Like Nirvana, like, I mean, these dudes, it's incredible. And favorite WOD? That's hard. I think probably because I love things that are just like popping with life and vibrancy and color and story and humor. Ancient Aliens. I'm yet to play Ancient Aliens on the channel, of course. I've played it so many times and I've watched other people play it so many times. It's like, it's my sunlust. For me, it's like, that's the baptism you need to go through. Other people need to beat God Machine on ultra-violence difficulty without dying. That's cool, man, that's cool. Gold star, bloody marvelous. No, Ancient Aliens. Just because it looks so good. The soundtrack by Stewboy is fucking incredible. And I'm pinching stuff from that at the moment for a thing I'm making. I was like, yep, I'll have a little bit of desk lamp. I'll have a little bit of Imaginarium. Nice. And it's incredible. Across 3211 says, when will you launch your voice acting career? I don't know. I'm too busy in between work. No one actually asked, but I'll tell you anyway. I think, I could be wrong, but I might be the only DoomTuber who does not have a job that has anything to do with computer programming or IT or security systems or anything like that. Now, I actually work in the disability sector. I'm a disability support worker, and I work at a creative studio in which I do a broad variety of things, helping people realize the creativity inside of them. So that includes game design. I'm trying to get people into making Doom maps. Just you wait. I'll make a community project yet. Recording music, making albums, voice acting, making podcasts, making voice reels for people who want to be voice actors. I run a karaoke session at work because I'm a singer as well as I play a variety of instruments. I'm getting to Vytaan's question, I promise. All sorts of community access, painting. I help people make comic books. I help people do graphic design and digital illustration. So many things, but it's predominantly a lot of music focused in, we've got a multimedia pod with, it's got Ableton, it's got a high-tech supercomputer, it's fucking incredible, it's decked out to the nines, it's great. And the people I work with are bloody marvelous, they're the best people ever. But that doesn't leave a lot of time for my own voice acting stuff, which is fine. I've done some paid work for an individual on, I guess you'd call them part of the DoomTube sphere. It hasn't yet, not submerged, the opposite, risen. It hasn't been published. Hopefully it will soon or at some point. It was really awesome to make, and it was just an extra cherry on the top that I got paid for it, which was friggin' marvelous. I don't think I'd actually been paid for voice work before, so it was great. I just do it because I love it, and I do it all the time without even thinking about it, which probably makes me really annoying to be around. But like my partner and I, we vibe, we improvise, we both do stupid voices. It's probably just as well. Otherwise, I'd probably be sad and alone. So that works out nicely. But yeah, I mean, if anyone's got projects that they'd like me to do any stuff for, just hit me up on Doomworld and let's have a chat, I suppose. That is not to say, please flood me with unsolicited requests, but just, yeah, you know, if you've got a thing and it's a substantial thing that you'd like me to do a bit of voice stuff for, that's cool. I'd happily have a chat and just talk about what can be done, you know? I don't know why I keep slouching down in my seat. It's just what I do. Merry Christmas, says Dr. Peidos. And Happy New Year. Would you improve in any way a monster in Doom? If yes, what monster and in what way? I don't know. Probably, well, something I do now is I go straight to dehacked when I'm starting to make something, and I reduce the lost soul health to about 40 because they're just so annoying. And from just trying to do a nightmare run of Sigil 2's map 1, the lost souls are just, oh, if they're just a little bit weaker, like they are in Eviternity, it's just such a breath of fresh air, and it means you can use more of them. Like the thing I'm making at the moment, Lost Souls are as weak as hell, but they come in swarms, which means you've got to use the chain gun and wipe them out, because they still do the same damage, and I actually made them faster, but they're weaker, so you can wipe them out quicker, but you've got to be on your toes. So I'm just trying to change that dynamic of the Lost Soul. Hopefully it works well, it seems to my mind anyway, but I can't really think of making any changes to anyone else, really. Maybe make the Spider Demon bit tougher or faster, or if you could implement in any way some of the stuff that they used in Strife with those spider robots that would crawl along the ceilings. Imagine if the Spider Demon could go whoom, and then stick to the ceiling and then move around, and that would be cool. Someone's probably already done that, I'm sure, but yeah, I thought that'd be neat. It's just like if the Spider Demon could go legs suck in and it gets boosters and then it can fly around. I don't know. I'm sure it's already been done many times before in mods and all the rest of it, but just an idea. JD, if you could change one thing about Doom's release, or any IWAD actually, what would that be? If I could change one thing, would probably be just to make some of the architectural choices of TNT more like Plutonia, or, you know, just earlier Doom in general. There's a thing that really ticked me off looking at some of the maps of TNT, and just like there's an awful lot of very thin sort of line sectoring and stuff like that, where you've got lots of 16 unit thick lines and stuff like that, and it's like, oh no, I know it was experimenting and trying new things, and it was probably a vibe at the time, but I like my Doom chunky, I like my Doom thick, and I like people to use the negative space as the predominant part of a map instead of having a big open space and then making areas out of lines. It's like, make the negative space, if you know what I mean. Sorry if that's confusing, but it's like use your vertices and stuff to make the negative, the black space outside of your actual map. Let that be your chonk, and then get everything else going on in between. But I just, because I'm probably not a fan of detailing in maps either, really, not to any great degree, a little bit, but if it goes over the top, it's like, it's too lumpy. Everything's too lumpy, and you get snagged on things and all the rest of it. But it'd probably be, yeah, I suppose just more, also just for maybe TNT to have a bit more of a visual identity. I know it had like a lot of its own textures and stuff. A lot of them not particularly good. Like there's that dang chain link fence that's like, it's got a whole lot of artifacting and stuff around it, but if there was extra time set aside just to clean up some of those things and to have like some sort of visual motif that keeps repeating throughout the maps, that would be great. Vytaan, Mr. Vytaan, how you going? You're obviously a very creative person. Thank you very much. So I'm curious, do you play any instruments? Do you maybe sing? Or are there any instruments you'd like to learn? Yes, and yes. And also thank you. So yeah, I play a broad variety of instruments. I play electric guitar, bass, drums, keyboard, piano. It's basically the same thing. And all of those things in various different combinations, really. I've recently gotten into playing slap bass, jamming with my brother. See, my thumb hurts. Distorted bass is really great fun, but probably the thing I most enjoy doing, because it also gives you a workout, is playing the drums. And it's just sort of like working out your innate rhythm and stuff like that. And yeah, so I'm self-taught. I can't read music. I struggle to read tabs for guitar as well, actually. But it's just, I suppose I just generally know what seems to sound good in terms of chords and melody combinations. I would like to make some MIDIs in the future. I would prefer to do so with an actual MIDI keyboard instead of just sort of like clicking with the mouse and stuff like that. We've got one at work. Maybe I can purloin it, I don't know, or do it with an individual as an experimentation, who knows? But I would like to try it out. Can I sing? Yes, I can. No. Yeah, I mean, I essentially sort of taught myself how to hold a tune through repeated and irritating teaching myself how to sing all the songs in Jesus Christ Superstar when I was in high school, and Phantom of the Opera, which, this may come as a shock, is not the coolest thing for a teenager to do, and will attract unsolicited attention from people in the form of, "What you think you're doing?" and "Shut up!" and all the rest of it. So, yeah, I can hold a tune, I think, and like at work, like I run a karaoke session, I kick it off, I do a couple of songs myself. I've tutored some people on how to sing and things like that before for recording and things like that. So yeah. Instruments. Strangely enough, I wouldn't mind giving the trumpet a try. It's got like those cool valves and stuff, and even the trombone's pretty bloody hilarious as well. That'd be cool. But I think especially probably just because of lots of awesome 80s songs like Careless Whisper and Baker Street, I'd like to be able to play the alto saxophone. You know, you just whip out the saxophone, and everyone's like, "Fucking hell, this guy's incredible. Yeah, it's bloody marvelous. He saved the town." My brother can play the alto sax really well, and I'm kind of jealous of that. So I'd like to be able to do that. Tim Doherty. Hey, man. Hey, brew. 2 lines of questions for you. Not personal, but personnel. What can you tell us about the friends from your channel name? And when did you start in all areas of playing, mapping, music, voices, and everything unique? All right, so to kick it off, so Eduardo and Friends is named after this little guy here. This is Eduardo. He's a little gorilla/bear plushie. Hello, that I've got. And so an idea I had for a YouTube channel that didn't pan out because it was cringe as fuck was to have a little dude called Eduardo who would like the games would be played and stuff like that, and then it might cut to or do a bit of a review supplied by Eduardo and a variety of other plushies who would be the friends. And it does sound cringe as fuck because it was, and that's why I didn't do anything with it. But I kept the name, and so yeah, like it's the same channel I've had for years, and it used to just be my name. And then I was like, I plopped that on. Didn't do anything with it, and then when I started doing some Doom stuff, I was like, I guess I'll keep it, because I mean my avatar used to just be his face, his little face. Mwah. And then I was like, oh, I think I'll upgrade to Penny the Pain Elemental, which is what I've got now and have done since last New Year's, I think. Yeah. So that is Eduardo and Friends. That is the story behind that. Maybe they will make a proper resurgence one day. What was the other question? All areas, playing, mapping, music, voices. I've covered a few of those things. In terms of music, that was essentially, we used to have this busted up, really shitty acoustic guitar that came from somewhere when I was a kid, and it had like 3 strings, and none of them were the right strings, and it was really badly tuned. But my brother and I would make up stupid songs, and like we'd go for walks and we'd make up stupid songs, or we'd be sent on walks to go away while we did this. And we had a teeny weeny little keyboard, and I'd have a doodle on that, and then there was a slightly bigger keyboard. and then I was gifted an actual keyboard, and yeah, I just taught myself how to use it just based off sound and a few songs, and it just sort of went from there. So yeah. In terms of voices, I've always done stupid voices. I guess it was a way of getting a quick laugh ever since primary school. And then when I was in high school, myself and my friends would just improvise. We just improvised with characters that we had, and we'd do voices for them, and then that turned into cartoons, and then that turned into animation characters, and so on. In terms of now, like the stupid trailer voice thing that I do, that just came entirely from honest trailers. It was specifically, there was the one on Twilight and one on the Hunger Games that really stuck with me, because I think they called Robert Pattinson Shovelhead, I think, and Bella in Twilight was called Mouth Breather, and I think. So it's that same format, and I just ripped it off for Doom, where it's got introductory bit, then you've got I don't know if they had something else, but I do featuring, and then they do starring, where they do stupid parodies or references to the characters or the people playing them. And then I think they'd usually always, instead of having the actual title of the movie, they'd have their own version of it. So yeah, and before that, I mean, I toyed around with the idea of like, what about a Doom version of the pitch meeting type of thing? Why don't we rip that off? It didn't work. Like, you know, someone would come in, Rubik's would come in, and he's pitching Stardate 20XD7 to, I guess just it would be a generic Doom player or something, and they're asking questions and poking holes in it and stuff like that. Which I guess that's a format that would work with a lot of maps or WODs, but it was just too derivative. Whereas with the trailer thing, that just started with one I did for Tetanus. I was just, like Eggboy said, hey, Tetanus is dropping or whatever, and I was like, I'm gonna check it out. And then I played it, and then I was like, I want to do something stupid. I want to do something stupid. So I made a trailer, and then they were nice enough to use it on their actual thread post for Tetanus. And then I was like, I'm going to do another stupid one. I'm going to do a big one. I'm going to do Plutonia. And which surprisingly people watched. And yeah, I just like making them. I'm sure people probably think they're pretty dumb, and probably even insulting to the WODs because of like having a laugh, but I wouldn't do any of it seriously. I just do it for a bit of a laugh. But I do love all the WODs that I've done so far, and I've got so many written down. Like the Batman Doom one, that was just a spur of the moment, where I was like, yeah, there was a Batman Doom, wasn't there? I wonder if it's any good. And then I played it, and I was like, actually, it's pretty good. This would make a stupid trailer because of all the Batman movies, especially the ones from the 90s, like Batman and Robin, and how much it sucked. And it's just a great excuse to use that Batfleck thing where he's like, why did you say that name? So I couldn't help myself. Oh, and some late additions, which I've just jammed in right now after I'd recorded all the video stuff. So we have one here from Lightning Bolt Forever. Hey, man. So he says, congrats again on the big 1K. Eds, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Thanks, man. You too. What's something on your bucket list that you've always wanted to do? Also, do you like to travel? And if so, what have been some of your favorite places to visit? I'm actually not entirely sure. Probably stuff to do with food, most likely. Like, we actually haven't got too many burger chains here, and I know there's like billions in America and stuff, so I wouldn't mind like just getting to sample them all, because we've got like KFC, McDonald's, a thing called Hungry Jack's, which is literally Burger King, and essentially that's it. We've got Carl's Jr. and stuff in a few spots now, and that was alright. But like, I wouldn't mind trying Wendy's and Five Guys, is that what it's called? White Castle, all these different places, and sort of like rank them and see where they all sit on the burger meter. Pretty much. I can't really think of anything else. Other than that, there are a bunch of places I'd like to go, mostly in the United States, actually. I've been to a few countries, Bali, Singapore, Thailand, China, Mongolia. I went to England in 2010 to see relatives and then on to Paris, so a fair few places, but due to the fascination my partner and I have for certain US states, I'd love to see New York City, the Grand Canyon, Route 66, all that jazz, Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia. They're beautiful places by the looks of them. Too many places. Hopefully go there at some point in the future. Fingers crossed. Thanks, man. And just one more question here from Vibesplane Overflow. Hey guys, what are some of your favourite WODs that influence your style the most? Is there one in particular that sticks out as the one? In so much as I have a style at the moment, I would say my attitude towards making maps and how I get from start to finish has been directly influenced probably the most by Squonker Team's work, actually. I don't know how these guys make maps themselves and stuff, but I try to keep things simple where I can, stick to solid architecture, and use negative space as the driving force behind the majority of the level geometry where I can. I know their stuff shoots for vanilla requirements and stuff, and I don't, but I think keeping things as simple as I can is a great way of making sure I actually get stuff done, if nothing else. Probably the WOD that really made my eyes stick out and made me want to say, hey, I love this, I want to make things like this, would be Pagodia and What Remains by Squonker. And the bite-size adventure of Coldfront by Eggboy really opened my eyes. Other than that, I would love to emulate the action-oriented, fun stylings of Valiant. Yeah, Valiant. It's such a blast to play and really draws you in. And so I think that kind of wraps things up, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your questions and that. And here's to an awesome 2024. Lots of Doom to come, lots of Doom to play, lots of Doom to create. And yeah, so please do join me on the journey. And I thank you very much for your views and your thumbs up and all the rest of it and shares and things. And for playing my silly WODs and things like that. I've got so many ideas. I've got 3 new ideas for short WODs this week, and I was like, I need a cloning machine. It's like, I want to make one called Vesuvius, which has got all this sort of ancient Roman stuff decked out, and then it progresses towards you having to fight monsters in Vesuvius, the volcano that erupted and destroyed Pompeii. So it's kind of like this, late Roman type of vibe with lots of villas and vases, and I guess kind of like the Greco-Roman chapter of Hexen 2, and I was like, I'll put that on the pile. And then I thought of one called Avalon, which is kind of like, that's the island where the Holy Grail is supposed to be kept, near Wales in the UK. So it's kind of like it's castles, but it's probably going to be quite bright and colourful, bright water, and then things get misty, and you get further and further into the Isle of Avalon. And if I can pinch some stuff from Hexen, maybe like that dragon thing, I might swap out a Caco for that. So I have to add that one to the pile. And then I had an idea for something called Crimson Horror, which is probably going to be, I wanted to use the textures from Sunlust, but make something a more of an accessible late game Sunlust type of thing with certain visual motifs and visual cues from late game Sunlust. But there's lots of red and blood, hence calling it Crimson Horror. But I'll add that one to the pile. So that's just a few ideas that I got this week. So I'll see how I go with that. And plus there's another one that I'm actively actually making at the moment as well, which will probably be about maybe 4 or 5 maps, but I'll see how I go. And that's got quite a fun Arabic, sort of faux Arabic, Aladdin sort of vibe to it. Desert, majesty, Babylonia, those sorts of Mesopotamian type of things. Tower of Babel, wink. So that's what I'm working on in between videos and stuff. So look out for that in the near future, I suppose. So everyone have a very happy new year, and stay safe and have fun, and give your mum a call. She probably wants to hear from you, yeah? Yeah, bloody marvelous.
Eduardo and friends.